Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Alex. I am sad. Let's jump right in. SAD means seasonal affective disorder. With other words, winter depression. As I'm a sufferer from it and the winter is knocking at the door, I want to prepare for it very well. I do already a lot of self-care and to get me through this period, but there's also family and friends asking me regularly, how can I help you through this time? Here are some tips that I found very helpful for myself. Please note, some of the tips might help you or your friends that suffer from winter depression, but some are maybe not. It depends per person. Here are the tips. Tip number 1. Keep a clean and organized house. For a person who suffers from winter depression, a disorganized house can have a negative impact and influence the depression in a negative way. Of course, I try to keep keep my apartment as clean as possible, but sometimes we need an extra pair of hands. So, especially in that period of time. So please, if you are willing to do some practical help with someone with some winter depression, please help them out to organize their rooms. For example, where they stay in most of the time. This would help to keep keep the room airy. And tip number 2. Do not advise, even when you want to and feel like it, that your way of helping is advising how to deal with the winter depression. It will not help. To help them, the people who are in the winter depression, is simply practical. You can help them by putting a hand on the shoulder, listen to their stories, but don't take it too personally. If you give advice, people within the depression or any depression, they will shut you down. They are energy vampires. So if you're an empath, stay short with them, because and even when you love them and care for them, don't take it too personal. And when you feel drained, go away, but not in a negative way. So don't advise, put a hand on the shoulders, listen to them, and say you get through to this. That's it. And even when they're a little bit grumpy about it, it helps. Tip number 3. I need a haircut. Tip number 3. Don't invite people over who are in a winter depression, but go to them and just say, hey, let's go out for a walk. Outside. In the fresh air. Even when they're a bit grumpy or saying, I don't want to, say, oh, come on, let's go. And when you bring them outside, it has been proven scientifically that walking outside in the fresh air clears the mind a bit, even for a little bit. And it helps to get the energy a bit in, recharge the person who has winter depression, and walk in the fresh air in nature helps a lot. Of course, the person who has suffering from winter depression cannot also do by themselves, but your company is even way more appreciated when you do that as well, when you take someone in, take the initiative to take him out or her out to into the fresh air. It is really highly appreciated. Tip number 4 or 5. Tip number 4, tip number 5. Tip number 4. If you are living on a distance, like most of my friends or a lot of my friends live on a distance from me. They live in other countries. My family live in other countries. My friends don't necessarily live all nearby. So what you can do once in a week, once or twice in a week, send a message to through Viber, through Messenger, through WhatsApp or the Messenger systems, asking, hey, how are you doing? Just like that, simple as that. Show a bit of interest. You even when you know that you might get an answer that is maybe like, huh? Or a bit like grumpy or a little bit down and that kind of stuff. Again, don't advise. Just say, okay, I hear you, I understand you. You will get through this. And then you maybe get a or okay. And that is fine. Tip number 5. There are days that in winter depression, well, I experience that are just fine and wonderful and great. But do not think that my winter depression is then already over, because the next day, boom, I'm down completely. So enjoy the time that someone is really out of the darkness for the time being. It can be it can be a few hours, it can be a whole day, but enjoy the time with that person. Especially, I say this especially to the family or close one who were related to you. In other words, I tell this to my wife and my daughter. So be aware that sometimes some people in winter depression have a flare up of happiness and joy and everything, and that is really sincere. Enjoy it, make the best out of it, encourage the enjoyment. But be aware the next day or in a few hours' time, it can be switched totally again to the depression. So prepare for yourself to that. Don't be afraid that that might happen. And please, 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 do not take it personally. Another tip, food-wise. Of course, I know and I'm aware that when I'm in a winter depression, I need to take good food to give me a better feeling. For example, eating a banana, that's with potassium, that is antidepressant. But sometimes I forget, and you can do something like, hey, you can have a banana, but you can also make, if you want, because I'm a terrible cook, sorry, make some food that is light, not heavy on the stomach, and give a good feeling. That can be anything, as long as it's healthy food, rich in vitamins, vegetables, you name it. And another tip, be you, be yourself around people who are suffering from winter depression. People who are suffering from winter depression don't want you to change for you, because that will be seen as that they feel sorry for themselves, and that you clearly feel sorry for them, and then that actually make them worse. So be yourself. Another tip, do practical things with them. Do practical things for them. Like not only cleaning the room or something, or open the curtains, or anything like that, but other practical things. If sometimes people with winter depression are so sad that they really cannot move themselves to get outside and do the shopping. Yes, I gave a tip for take someone out for a walk in the fresh air, but that can be a short moment. You can also take them out for shopping. But if they are really, really not wanting this, don't force them, and go out for your shopping yourself and say, hey, I bought some shopping for you. They get the message that you did something for them. It can be little things. It can be a little snack that they like, or it can be something else. But something that you really know that the person likes in food or drink, anything. Okay, those were so far my tips. Of course, there are more things you can do. But don't be afraid to ask the person who suffers from winter depression. Often they might react like, knowing myself, I don't know, I don't care, or you find out yourself, you do it, whatever you want. That can be sometimes frustrating. But you can also ask beforehand for in a moment that they're a bit more happier, that, hey, what would you like me to buy for you tomorrow? Or before the season starts with the winter depression, that you ask, hey, in that period, what would you like me to do for you? If you are up to it, and willing to do so. Because I don't want, as when I suffer from this winter depression, that you go out and about completely yourself and forget yourself. You need to also take care of yourself. It is highly appreciated what you're doing. You're wonderful and a great person and a support. So if you follow these tips, one of the main tips that I really want to give, already gave, keep that in mind. That's for me very important. Don't advise me how I can do it to get out of the depression. It makes me, and maybe other people who suffer from winter depression, make it even worse. It makes me think like, why do you give me that advice? Nothing works. That's how we think. It's a pity party, but then 10 times, 1,000 times stronger. It's not a bit easy deal. So another thing, in general, people who suffer from mental illnesses, they are really struggling every day, 24/7. And to compose themselves and to struggle themselves, that's already a lot of energy just to get through the day. So show a bit of respect to people who suffer from mental illness. Don't ridicule them, and and try to get to know them, learn from them. Then you are a great friend, then you're a great family, and you are a great support for them. It goes into the little things. It's not the big things, and no dramatic big things. You don't need to do that. It is really in the little things. Be there, listening ear, do practical things.